240 hertz monitors like this one didn't even exist just a few short years ago, but now there's a ton of them on the market, including, for the first time ever, ones that feature IPS panels rather than the conventional TN. So today, we're gonna see if Linus and a couple of other hardcore gamers around here can tell the difference between the esports gold standard, a cheaper alternative, and two IPS type newcomers, and how their opinions stack up against more objective measures. Right after this message from our sponsor, Smart Deploy. Smart Deploy allows IT departments to re-image unlimited computer models from one golden image. Search their library for your models and grab your exclusive offer at smartdeploy.com/Linus.
It is amazing how different the colors can look from one display where presumably they're all after the same result and another. This is kind of trippy actually. Whoa! I'm gonna start with viewing angles. You know, TNs have gotten a lot better. From the side, this is definitely a TN, but viewing angles are actually not bad. Even from top down, like if I was standing behind someone gaming at their chair, like, that's fine. It's not till you get low and look up at it that you go, oh yeah, there's the color inversion, that's the TN panel.
So at home I have the Zowie 2546 240 hertz monitor, and I love it. If I was anywhere but staring directly straight at it, it's a piece of garbage. I can't tell if it's just the coating that's hurting this one. The darker colors are just kind of disappearing and kind of approaching a mid-gray.
Kind of feel like as a gamer, I don't really care about viewing angles too much. I'm gonna be playing a game hardcore on this, right? So I'm gonna be centered off.
Again, no contest. Number 2 is clearly the TN panel.
I'm gonna be very disappointed if this is like mine.
I'm gonna give worst viewing angles to this one, mostly because it's just so dim in the first place. I don't think it actually shifts that much more compared to this one, but this is a lot brighter, a lot easier to look at.
I'm pretty impressed with 3 and 4. I think they have pretty exceptional viewing angles where the quality of the color and the light isn't drastically changing the further over I get.
That's not a TN panel, and that's not a TN panel. To my eyes, monitor number 3 here, even though it has the best colors facing it dead on, has a greater color shift and a greater brightness reduction compared to our other non-TN panel here. So I rated that one number 2 for viewing angles.
I'm gonna choose 4 as my first, 3 as my second, then 1, and then 2.
Best color reproduction I feel is kind of obvious. I hope it's obvious. Number 4 just seems truer to life, which is a bit weird because it's a game, but if life were a game, I imagine it would look more like that.
I like the more natural look, but that might just be the choice of color temperature on number 3. 4 looks a little overwarm to me. So I'm gonna rank the colors 1, 3, 4, 2.
Best color reproduction has got to be number 3. One thing that you can see on both of the TN panels though is the sleeves and the gloves are both green on this one. They're both yellow on this one. And then we look at one of the IPSs and lo and behold, they're supposed to be green and brown. Oops.
There's just something about number 2 that makes it look really cheap. If life were a game, I feel like I'm a bit blind. I have cataracts.
You can really tell in the green in the barrel. This one is just like, has blue in it as well. This just seems like grayish with a tinge of green. The third one is definitely calibrated to a colder temperature than the one on the right. The one on the right, I find the green looks a bit better, but it's close.
Brightness and dynamic range. I'm gonna have to go somewhere where I have both shadows and highlights in view. This one definitely loses some detail down here in the shadows compared to our TN. The problem though is that some of these gaming monitors go out of their way actually to boost detail in the shadows, so that's not necessarily a strong indication of their dynamic range. What I can do that's not dependent on that, however, is look at black portions of the minimap compared to the brightest areas of the scene.
Hard. Counter-Strike is designed to not really have really dark areas so that it's more competitive. There's no areas you can go and just hide. So it's not immediately apparent which one has crazier dynamic range. I feel like number 4 is doing a little bit better job resolving the detail inside of this window. I can see that a little bit more, whereas here it just kind of looks dark. So I'm gonna give the edge to 4 on this one, then 3, and then 2.
Deepest blacks, but dimmest display. It's a lot of points off for that. This surprises me, but I think this TN is actually better than that IPS in terms of the difference between the brightest brights and the darkest darks range. I'm giving it to number 4.
The reason I bought a 240 hertz monitor is not for color, not for brightness, it's for information getting inside my eye holes. I mean, even when I was gaming it with a 120 hertz monitor, never felt like the input lag was what I was missing, it was the clarity.
Kind of feel like lowest motion blur and lowest input lag. Kind of too similar for me to tell.
I don't know. They're all so close. If I had to guess, I'd say 1, like both tied, and maybe these two are a little bit behind, but it wouldn't be by much. You know, one thing that might make this a little easier, is this cheating?
This one somehow feels more responsive. I'm surprised, I thought I wouldn't be able to tell. Maybe it's just bigger, so it feels like things are moving faster.
Wow, I can't believe I didn't even notice too. I was so busy just completely focusing on like what the pixels looked like. I missed that these two are 27 inches and these two are 24-inch displays.
Oh yeah, I felt 3 was faster or something. It might just be some motion smoothing or some kind of interpolation that, I don't know what it was, but I'm gonna give it the edge. It's not my job to explain these things, it's everyone else's. And now lowest motion blur.
I don't know if it's just the brightness being so different, but that one feels smoother. I'm gonna have to rank this one, that one, and then this one so far. So 3, 1, 2 for lowest motion blur.
For motion blur, number 3 is definitely the worst, but it surprises me how close my 1 IPS over here is to my 2 TNs over here.
This first one's so much more contrasty that I feel like because of the high contrast, I'm able to kind of tell the information even in motion a little bit better. And so I don't know if it's actually clearer, if it just has the perception of being clearer thanks to its higher contrast. But I think I'm gonna give the edge to the first one. I'm gonna go in order, 1, 2, 3, 4, so.
Which monitor would I buy? That is a really hard one for me to choose. I feel like performance-wise, like in-game, I would be better off with number 1, maybe number 2, but number 4 just looks a lot better in almost every aspect. It's bigger, the color is better, it's still pretty fast feeling, but I feel like if I want to win at games again, I kind of want to go with number 1.
I take number 3. It keeps more detail in the actual concentric circles that exist in this little mini map here compared to this one. And it doesn't lose any of the highlights. It's got more true to life looking colors right out of the box, but its motion blur is not the best, but I'm not the most competitive gamer. So that's why I would take this one. Bigger, looks better. If the colors on this one weren't so bad, I would give it number 2, but it's gonna sit in 3. I'm gonna give 2 to the other IPS display. I do like the size matters to me. And number 4 is gonna be this one.
My overall preference is definitely the first one. It's the brightest, it's got the best color. The viewing angles weren't great, but as someone who's playing shooters competitively online, like I don't need someone to be able to see from far angles, I'm looking straight on. I prefer 24 inches. For competitive gaming, you want to be like right up in there, and 27 is actually a little bit big. Like most competitive shooters use 24-inch monitors as preference.
I'm gonna price them by my preference. I'm gonna say the two 27-inchers are $500 and $550, and I'm gonna say I like this one better. I think that's the more premium one. And then these two, this is easily a better gaming experience. It's just so much brighter. I'm gonna go $400, $345. Final answer. Pencils down.
I'd be surprised if the 27-inch ones were cheaper than the 24-inch ones. So I guess might as well start at the highest ones. I would price the third monitor at $550.
I think this is probably the cheapest, and then this one a bit more than number 2.
Yeah, that one's the most expensive.
This one?
Yeah, that one's the cheapest.
What? This one? This one?
Most expensive.
This one? This one. I guess I'm just surprised that this is more expensive because it's a TN panel.
How much is it?
$550. Sometimes $500. It's also the oldest one.
Oh, this is a cascading domino effect of wrongness now.
The Zowie is this one.
Oh yay! I bought the right monitor! Yay! I'm not an idiot.
Well, you're kind of an idiot.
I'm happy. I thought I was gonna be revealed to be a moron, and I kind of am, but to the level that I thought I was.
Even though I got the pricing wrong based on what has the most value to me, I can definitely see the value of this one for a certain type of customer. And now that I know the difference between these is $100 rather than $50, it becomes a much less clear-cut decision, even though I still do give the nod to this one, both empirically and in terms of my overall feel.
And we're back. Okay, so the guys didn't exactly agree on everything, but there were some common trends. Basically everyone agreed that the TN panels had the least motion blur and input delay, with the LG coming in third. To validate their experiences, we set up a Pursuit camera, which helps visualize motion blur, but with the element of human perception taken out of the equation. You can see that the ASUS and the Benq are way more clear. Just look at the alien's eyes and the white dots on the ship. However, both of these monitors are using backlight strobing to get that result. Here's what the ASUS looks like with ELMB turned off, while the LG apparently doesn't have such a feature at all. The participants also generally agreed that the IPS panels, the LG and the ACER, had superior viewing angles, color accuracy, and brightness, although the Benq did pretty well here too, according to David. And again, our tests, this time with Kalman Color Checker, agreed, except the Benq is actually the least accurate. Sorry, David. Which basically gives us two competing recommendations, depending on you and your priorities. If you're buying a 240Hz monitor purely for motion performance, just to click heads, then the Benq Zowie XL2546 is still the reigning champ. But if you also use your monitor for watching videos and movies or playing sightseeing games, then the bigger, more color accurate IPS models are more well-rounded. But then there's price. At 20% cheaper than the Benq or the ACER, the LG really starts to emerge as kind of a no-brainer. Unless, of course, you're strapped for cash and you're really impressed by the ASUS's full-range ELMB for another $55 off. Wow, it sure is a great time to be a high refresh rate gamer. And it's a great time to check out the Drop Control keyboard, featured heavily in our recent Blind Key Switch Challenge video. It's got a solid CNC aluminum frame, built-in switch plate, RGB lighting, and QMK firmware for customizability. It has hot swappable key switches and comes with Cherry MX, Kale, or Halo switches. And it weighs in at a pretty hefty 964 grams. Buy it today at drop.com. And you can buy a hoodie like this at lttstore.com. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, get subscribed, and hit us up in the comments with all those commenty things you'd like to say, including suggestions for products that you want to see us cover in the future. And if you're looking for something to watch right now, how about the investigation we did on whether or not 240Hz actually matters compared to 144 or 60Hz? We did an awesome collaboration with Shroud and other pro gamers, so check it out right here in the middle of the screen, wherever it's, I don't know, over here. Bye-bye.